I was an intern, and the women in my core group pulled me aside and, excuse me, have to sit on the right-hand side of a man in every meeting. Kid you not. Whenever the right-hand side. Why? Because men, whatever hand they write with, and most men are in the room, and most men write with the right hand, or by chance, right? By just facts. And so
Yeah.
they'll lean towards you and they'll talk to you. If you're sitting on the left, you're not going to get that as naturally. Number two, whenever you go to the restroom in this big, huge place, you have to take a file folder with you and carry it to the restroom with you. So it looks like you're going to a meeting or you're on your way to different business. And I was like, why? And they're like, because otherwise when you stop to talk, it'll look like you're talking socially and whatever, and you'll have an image of just being gossipy versus, so that culture, it was real for women. And I share that because it sticks with me, but I don't subscribe to it at all. What I guess I believe as a woman or a man, we are different, and it's wonderful. You got to know who you're around, right? And if you're this person, being a female and growing up with all males in a boardroom, when I would sit there as a leader at Stryker, I was the only female in all these new product meetings or whatever roles I had in marketing. I had to understand my group. And if I can't add jokes in the room, people are not going to be themselves. And so fortunately, I love the jokes and I'm very raw that way. So I'm okay with it. And I make it very clear I'm not offended by it. And I'm going to hold you accountable. So you're not going to, so if you say something, I'm going to be like, dude, clean it up or suck it up, buttercup, but in the same regard, you got to be able to play on your own terms and just work your heart out. I think so here it is, work ethic, male or female, same, right? Don't be so guarded. Just let it be. Someone's going to say something that's going to offend you, but that's not because you're a female. It's because you're different than them. Don't take yourself so seriously. Great. I mean, there's bounds, but just let it be. Don't be so prescriptive with what people can and can't say around you, because that makes no one wants to be around that, whether you're male, female, whatever ethnicity, whatever religion. I don't want to be around somebody that's so emphatic that I can't talk about it. I want to be around people where there's trust. So as a female, my perspective is just let your hair down, be who you are, and don't be so uptight about, they shouldn't act that way or
I completely I completely agree on that, and I think that like there are some things like I've had female reps like send me messages where like they were like told something that it was like offensive, like it's just like there's no other way around it, and like you gotta like report that, do not put up with that. That being said, there's certain things where you have to allow, especially these days. Everybody's on edge. Everybody's afraid that they're going to get in trouble, reported, canceled, and everything. So you kind of got to give people a little bit of leeway. And I think like one of those things is just sort of like, I think this goes back to being really good at sales, which is sort of be curious and sort of don't look at situations as just black and white and kind of like try and understand it. Right.
Right.
Because for me, there's a good amount of my mentees. What's interesting? It hit me like a few weeks ago, and I was talking to my wife about this. A lot of the people that I mentor, I think like 60% of them are young women that reach out to me, and I think part of it's because I think most guys in their 20s are pretty stubborn and they think they have everything figured out. I think women are like when they're younger, they're a lot more inquisitive. Anyways, again, my anecdotal experience, but with some of the younger female reps I've talked to, in some cases they dealt with a man who is an absolute jerk, and in a certain scenario it's like, no, that's just like offensive sexist remark, like that's BS. A lot of other times they'll describe, like this is a classic one a few years ago. She was telling me that she was in a meeting and like certain meetings, and she was like, I feel like he's doing this and it's because I'm a woman and everything. And we kind of talked more about it, and she was telling me more about the situation. And I was like, hey, look, I was like, I don't work with you, so talk to other people, but this doesn't sound like this guy is, anti-woman or something. This guy just sounds like an asshole, and I think he's like this with everybody. And lo and behold, she came back and she's like, I talked to some of the guys, and she's like, yeah, he's like that with everybody. He's just hyper competitive jerk. He just wants to put his like foot on people. I'm like, there you go. And I think, I don't know, I feel like people are different, and there's ways to sort of embrace your differences and like leverage them as tools versus, I don't, like, I'm not going to make any friends saying this, but like, there's certain, the world is changing. And I think it was a certain way for a long time. not because people are bad. There are bad people, of course, but just like it is what it is. All right. Like, for example, I know that now, like, we don't see a lot of women in like certain leadership roles, right? And that's changing a little bit. The other thing is a lot of women didn't enter the workforce until 50 years ago. Like this. So that doesn't happen, so there's all these things that are very complex topics. And I think they're a lot more complicated than just simply as like, oh, it's like this because of this ethnic thing or this cultural thing and everything. I'm just like, sometimes I just feel like those become like obstacles and distractions for people versus just focusing on the work.
And the skill set and the results. Like I don't want to be a CEO, probably because wouldn't be great at. I know where I'm great. I don't play well past a director level. And I'm okay saying that because I know who I am.
I have a lot of respect for you for saying that. That's like, that is why do you, tell me, how did you come to that conclusion?
Get out to age, but because I'm going to look you, because I'm going to hold you accountable, and I'm not patient I'm intense, right? And I am great managing down with my, like, people, influencing down and motivating and encouraging at a higher level than that. How about this? I just say it. I don't play the political game you got to play. Yeah.
I'm the same way. Why do you think I started my own company?
Yeah,
I think that's like kind of like what it takes in corporate America, especially is like a lot of times, I'm just saying in general that like a lot of times it's not like how good you are. It's just like, are you good at politicking?
And again, that's not a male female thing. So
No.
So it's just, can you hold your tongue, or are you savvy enough to be able to do that? Or do you want, not even that, I can do it. I don't want to do it.
Yeah. And you know what? Like, again, so I'm going to reverse this on me for a second so that I don't get in too much trouble. But I'll give you a perspective on something of how I used my gender to my advantage, right? So when was this? I don't want to get into detail. A while back, I was selling certain products, and then a core group of the customers were women, and they were serviced by female vendors. So they're just dealing with women all day long. And so for me, I thought, I'm like, well, this female prospective customer I'm going to deal with is dealing with women all day long. And I would imagine it's going to be refreshing for her to be talking to a man because it's different. And I'm going to take advantage of that in the sense that I'm going to present myself in a certain way. I'm going to speak in a certain way, right? Yep. And it's just a different experience. And because of the fact it's different, she will pay attention and I can persuade it. So equally so, yes, I think medical sales is a boys' game. And by the way, and by the way, I never have this issue with female audience members, but it's always that one guy. I call him the public service announcement guy. He's like, "Hey, Omar, blah blah." Just PSA guy. I don't need to hear from you on this. But I think professionally and in the right way, if you're a female rep, right? Obviously, don't do, like, God, I'm really walking a fine line here.
You're on a line. You're like tipping over.
I'm on the line. But I think that there's ways to take advantage, right, of a sales process and just say, you know what? I'm dealing in, let's say it's like ortho, like super, super male dominated. It's like, okay, all these other male reps are all coming to the surgeon with the same approach, using the same analogies, bringing up the same stupid topics to get them interested. I'm going to come at a different angle because I have a different perspective and there's different things that I'm interested in. And that'll be enough to get that surgeon's attention, and it will be different enough where it's engaging. So I think something as simple as just like, instead of using a sports analogy for everything, come up with a different analogy, right?
It's that's a flip it for you. Being a female walking into a OR, what are all the circulators? 90% women.
Oh yeah, right? Yeah, exactly.
So you walk in as a female. If you're attractive, you're bubbly, you're talkative. You know what you've just done to yourself? Put a target on your back. Because these other women are tired. They've worked really hard. They're in scrubs. Their hair isn't. You come in with perfume on, makeup on, looking
all great point.
Looking all done up because you think you're going to influence the surgeon. And that, by the way, is their room. And you come in all hot to trot and think you're just going to walk in the room and you don't put your name on the board with humility. ask them if it's okay that you're in their room, that's their room. And I'll tell you what, you have put a absolute target on your back in that entire hospital, because it will spread like wildfire that here comes that, you know what,
Yeah,
salesman.
yeah. I
And so
I'm
it's
so
more,
happy you said that.
gotta know. And
It's
so
situational awareness. Look,
yeah,
I'll trade you one back. I know you got to go soon since it's later, but let me trade you one back, like in a similar way. With a lot of the guys, especially when they start doing well, the first thing they do, and I'm one of those guys, like I like it now, which is buying, let's say, a Rolex, right?
yep,
And for one side, it's like, oh, it's good, like it'll look good, they impress the surgeon and everything. At the same time, you got to keep on. There's a lot of people in that room don't make that much money, man, and they may not know you. And between men, that kind of jealousy it breeds life. If you're a hardworking average Joe, right, and you're working a hard job like a scrub tech or SPD
yep,
or something, and some
yep.
dude comes in, as nice as you can be, you got that like a really nice watch on and everything. You don't want to make that person feel bad, and so that they're like, man, I don't have a watch like that. I don't know this,
Don't
and so
get labeled. Don't get labeled.
exactly.
Yeah.
And even, for me, like, I just feel like you have to have some situational awareness, and it's just not worth it. Now, can you, like, I don't really care much about a lot of people's feelings, but like in those situations, like, is it technically worth it? Like, do you have to wear that watch when you go in that day? No. Right. Or if you wear it, and do you have to wear it to the OR? Probably not. And again, like, maybe I'm splitting hairs here, but I feel like
No,
these
you're
are the
not, because
things.
what is your job? My job, in the way I run I want to, it's not about them. I don't want to put barriers in the way that are going to get in the way of why I'm there. So why would I do
Mhm.
that if I know there's some people you see signs in hospitals, perfume, please don't wear it. You're going to go wear perfume? Don't be stupid, right?
Exactly.
Wear your stupid shoe covers so you don't be the one who gets in trouble. Like, wear a coat if you're supposed to wear a coat. Take away all the stupid things so that you can actually go in and not have those labels on you.
And focus on customer service. And I think,
And then when you screw up, because I'm going to
yeah,
screw up, I'm going to screw up. I'm going to say
yeah.
something I shouldn't, but I haven't already gotten in trouble for the stupid stuff that I could control.
No, 100% so. And I think, again, like, these are things, like, they're not like it, they're not going to help you. If it's not going to help you, if it is a risk, I recommend just reconsider it. I mean, look, when I started as a rep, like, so actually, I've never mentioned this, but I'll mention it here. When I started as a rep, I was in my hometown where I was previously in medical school. I was on the paper because I was a hometown boy that went to medical school. So, and my father was a surgeon. So I had this image already of like, oh, this guy was handed stuff and blah, blah, blah. Definitely not the case. But, and especially coming out of med school, right?
Yeah,
All right.
that's very cool. I did not
So,
know this.
yeah. So when I started at the hospital that my father, right? So, like, it was a hospital that got a robot, but it was a hospital my dad used to do a lot of surgeries out of. And he was like it was a physician's owned hospital, right? I had that, like, I already had that stigma. Yeah. Whether I liked it or not. So I'm knowing this the first day I did, and I did this for months, even when I was told, like, I don't have to do it. When the case was done, this is back when Missouri box, and we got the dirty tray, I walked it back to SPD and I washed the instruments. Like, alongside with the guy who had to clean instruments, and he's and just not only for him, but for the scrub tech, for all these people to see it.
Yep.
And then over time, like, and it was pretty quick. They saw me like one of them. I wasn't the doctor's son. I wasn't the ex-medical student. I was Omar Khateeb, the guy who represented Missouri Robotics. It's like, he's part of the team. This guy's a homie. And so when things go south, when I needed help with things and everything, they're willing to do it, because I wasn't the guy who came in with an ego or anything. Like, at the end of the day, it was very much customer service. And I saw my job as not just the robotic part. It's like the whole experience of when I'm there,
You summarized it perfect. That's it. That's 100% it. And if you told me to pick up a broom in the hospital, you didn't tell me. If I saw something, I will probably get in trouble for helping too much versus never helping. Because I'm always, you already said it. I don't need to say anything else. But that's exactly
No, absolutely.
it. Don't barriers in your own way. Be helpful. Be kind. Build a personality that people want to be, or build a reputation that people want to be around through how you act and what you do extra.
100%. And